Students, today we will revise Unit 6. So, in the previous classes, we have studied that solids can conduct electricity quite easily, like copper, aluminium, etc. These are the good conductors of electricity, and both of these are metals, right? So generally metals which are solid, as well as mercury, it is a liquid metal, so these can conduct electricity well. Now let us see whether liquids can also conduct electricity or not. So let us see this CRL and learn about it.
Liquid conductors of electricity. We saw that when a tester, as shown in figure 3, was used to test if lemon juice and vinegar conduct electricity, the bulb glowed in both the cases. What does the glowing of the bulb in the circuit imply? In a test circuit, when the free ends of the conducting wires are dipped in lemon juice or vinegar, the circuit becomes a closed circuit. The electric current flows through the circuit and the bulb glows. Therefore, we can conclude that lemon juice and vinegar are good conductors of electricity. We know that metals like aluminium and copper and materials like graphite and steel conduct electricity, while materials like glass, rubber, wood and paper do not conduct electricity. A test circuit using copper wires, a bulb and a battery can be designed to test whether a material conducts electricity or not. When connected to the free ends of a tester, a conductor allows the current to pass through the circuit. Thus, the bulb glows. However, an insulator does not allow the current to pass through the circuit when connected to the free ends of a tester. Thus, the bulb does not glow. The electric circuit of the tester can be represented by the circuit diagram as shown here. We can also test whether a liquid conducts electricity or not using the same test circuit. Let's test if lemon juice conducts electricity or not. On dipping the free ends of the tester in the lemon juice, we see that the bulb glows. What does this mean? This means that lemon juice allows electric current to pass through it. So, we can say that lemon juice is a good conductor of electricity. Using the same method, we can verify that vinegar is also a good conductor of electricity. In summary, we learned that a tester can be used to check if liquids conduct electricity. Some liquids like lemon juice and vinegar allow electric current to flow through them. They complete the circuit, thus allowing the current to flow through it. When the current flows through the test circuit, the bulb glows. Such liquids are called good conductors of electricity.
Students, when we connect our tester with bulb with an iron nail, it glows brighter in comparison to lemon juice. So through this CRL we will see why does this happen. Students, we will learn about testing weak currents. What causes this bulb in a circuit to glow? The bulb in a circuit glows because of heating effect of electric current. The electric current flowing through the filament heats it up, causing the bulb glow. Now, strong current versus weak current. When a strong electric current flows through the filament of the bulb, it becomes very hot and the bulb glows more brightly. When a, when a weak electric current flows through the filament of the bulb, it does not become hot enough and the bulb glows less brightly. When a metal is connected to the test circuit, it allows a strong electric current to flow through the circuit. Thus, the bulb glows more brightly. Example is iron nail. When a liquid conductor is connected to the test circuit, it allows a weak electric current to flow through the circuit. Thus, the bulb glows less brightly. Example is lemon juice. Right? Now, question rises, do all materials conduct electricity equally well? So answer is different materials have different capacities to conduct electricity. For example, metals conduct electricity easily, allowing a strong current to pass through the circuit. For example, metals conduct electricity easily, allowing a strong current to pass through the circuit. Other materials like liquid solutions may not conduct electricity easily as metals, resulting a weak current passing through the circuit. These are some practice questions, so you can see them and practice. Answers are also given, so it is better that you learn them. So there is one more question. Will it be possible to test the solution for its ability to conduct electricity if the current flowing through the circuit is very weak? So the answer is, since the current is weak, the bulb will not glow, and we will not be able to determine if the liquid conducts electricity or not. So for testing liquid solutions, we have to make sure that we are correctly testing whether a liquid conducts electricity or not. We need to use a tester which can also detect weak currents. They are of two types. Tester using 5 mm LED, LED means light emitting diode, or tester using magnetic compass. Here the method is given how to test liquid solutions. Diagram shows the tester using 5 mm LED. So we have to replace the bulb with an LED in our tester. So when we use tester using a 5 mm LED, LED consumes less electricity than a bulb. While a bulb requires a strong current to glow, an LED glows even when a weak electric current flows through it. Now the tester using a magnetic compass replace the bulb with magnetic compass like it has been shown in this diagram. Generally, the connecting wires are wound multiple times around the magnetic compass. An electric current passing through the wire produces a magnetic effect, causing the magnetic needle kept nearby to deflect. Even a weak current causes this deflection, indicating a flow of current through the circuit. So, to summarize, we can say that liquids do not conduct electricity as well as metals. A test circuit using a bulb may not correctly determine whether current is flowing through a liquid or not. When the current flowing through a liquid is weak, we can use a tester with magnetic compass or an LED to determine whether it conducts electricity. A tester using magnetic needle is based on the magnetic effect of electric current. Students, through this CRL, we will learn about the chemical effects of electric current. So let us see it and understand what are the chemical effects of electric current.
Chemical effects of electric current. We already know that some liquids conduct electricity. Does water conduct electricity too? Let us study what happens when an electric current is allowed to pass through water. We can use tap water and perform a simple experiment. Tap water contains natural mineral salts and is already a good conductor of electricity. But it can be made more conducting by adding a few drops of lemon juice to it. Now, to pass electric current through water, we will use a circuit containing a battery, connecting wires, and two pencils that are sharpened at both ends. Can you guess why are we using pencils in this setup? A pencil contains graphite in its core, and graphite is a good conductor of electricity. In our circuit setup, the graphite rod in the pencils are used as electrodes. Let us understand what electrodes are. Electrodes are solid conductors of electricity which are used for making electrical contact with non-metallic solids and liquids. Here, the graphite rod in the pencil is the electrode that are used to make electrical contact with water. The graphite rod in the pencil connected to the positive terminal of the battery acts as the positive electrode, and the graphite rod in the other pencil connected to the negative terminal of the battery acts as the negative electrode. An electric current flows through the water and gas bubbles are formed near both the electrodes. The bubbles near the negative electrodes are of hydrogen gas, and the bubbles near the positive electrodes are of oxygen gas. The formation of bubbles results from the breaking of water into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. This is a chemical change that takes place because of the chemical effects of the electric current on water. When an electric current is passed through a potato for about half an hour, the color of the potato changes to bluish green at the place where the wire from the positive terminal of the battery is inserted in the potato. This change happens in the liquid which is contained inside the potato. This change in color always takes place near the positive terminal of the battery and can be used to identify the terminals of a battery enclosed in a box or a battery without any specification printed on it. Another chemical effect of electric current is the coating of a metal on an electrode. This effect is widely used to coat a layer of an expensive metal like gold on a less expensive metal to make artificial jewelry. Let us summarize. An electric current can lead to the formation of gas bubbles near the electrodes. It can cause a solution to change color. It can also make a layer of a metal deposit on an electrode. These are the three chemical effects of electric current.
Through this CRL, we will learn about electroplating.
Nisha
her mother. At the shop, she saw two necklaces that looked the same but had very different prices. Misha was confused. Her mother explained that the high-priced necklace is made of gold, while the low-priced one is a piece of artificial jewelry. It only has a thin layer of gold coated on a cheaper metal. Misha wondered how a layer of metal is coated on another metal. The process by which a layer of the desired metal is deposited on another metal by means of electricity is called electroplating. Let us understand this process in detail. Consider that we have electrode. Eventually, copper gets deposited on the negative electrode, in this case, the brass key. What will happen if all the copper in the solution gets deposited on the negative electrode? The solution will stop conducting the electric current and the circuit will break. For this reason, we ensure that the positive electrode is made of copper. As copper from the solution gets deposited on the brass key, an equal amount of copper gets dissolved in the solution from the positive copper electrode. As copper is restored in the solution, the process continues. Bath taps, car parts, kitchen gas burners, etc. gives a shiny appearance to these objects and prevents them from scratches and damage caused due to corrosion. Food cans are made of iron, which can react with food and damage it. Tin is less reactive than iron. So, a thin layer of tin on food cans prevents the food from coming in contact with iron. Iron bridges are strong, but the formation of rust on these bridges can damage them. A thin layer of zinc is electroplated on iron parts used in bridges. This prevents them from rust and corrosion.
Now we will start a new chapter and we'll do the revision of this chapter, which is stars and solar system. So we will learn about our celestial world through this CRL.
Celestial objects. When we look up into the dark night sky, we see many bright objects. Some of these are stars and some are planets. The stars, the planets, the moon and other objects like shooting stars are called celestial objects. Celestial means of the heavens. The naturally occurring objects outside Earth's atmosphere are called celestial objects. The study of celestial objects and related phenomena is called astronomy. Astronomy has been studied since ancient times. There are many observatories which still exist today that were built in medieval times to study the movement of the sun and other celestial bodies. Our ancestors observed patterns in the motion of these celestial bodies. These patterns were used to devise calendars as well as to understand seasonal changes and predict rainfall to help prepare for crop cultivation. Many of these celestial objects observed in the night sky are stars. Let us learn some interesting facts about stars. The point-like objects which twinkle. Stars produce and emit their own light. Stars show variation in brightness, color, size, and in their distance from Earth. However, they are so far away that all of them appear as point particles. Stars are always present in the sky, no matter the time of the day. However, we cannot see them during the day because the light from the sun makes the sky too bright for the stars to be visible. After the sun sets, they become visible to us. The sun is also a star. So why does it appear so much bigger than all the other stars? This is because the sun is the nearest star to us. Things which are nearer to us appear bigger, while things which are farther away appear smaller. All the other stars are millions of times farther away than the sun. To summarize, stars are celestial objects that emit their own light. They twinkle in the night sky. They show a variation in brightness, color, size, and in their distance from Earth. They appear as point particles because they are far away from Earth.
Students, the stars are so far away from the earth that it takes a long time for light to reach earth from the stars. So here we have given method how to calculate the distance of a star from the earth. Here you can see in this CRL. Look at it carefully. Now students, we will learn about light year. The time taken by light to travel from one celestial body to another can be used as a unit of measurement of these large celestial distances. 1 light year is defined as the distance traveled by light in 1 year. So how we have to calculate 1 light year in terms of kilometers? The method has been given. Watch it closely and understand the method. This is to be kept in mind that 1 year is defined as the distance, 1 light year is the distance traveled by light in 1 year, and a year is a unit of time, but a light year is a unit of distance. Remember this. Here is a question: what is the distance of Alpha Centauri from Earth in light years if the light from the Alpha Centauri takes about 4.37 years to reach Earth? So, let us see how it is calculated. Or let us not calculate it, it is for you to solve this problem. right? The light from stars we see in the night has probably been traveling for many years, decades, centuries, or more. The star that gave out this light years ago might not even exist now. In a way, we are looking into the past. Students, we have learned that apparent motion of stars in the night sky is because of the rotation of the earth on its own axis. We have studied that the constellations are group of stars forming a recognizable imaginary pattern or a shape in the night sky. Now we will learn about some prominent constellations. Students, through this photograph we will learn about some stars and some constellations made by some stars, right? You know that constellation is a group of stars which make a recognizable pattern, right? So here you are seeing two constellations. One is Cassiopeia, another one is Ursa Major, and the last one is more we can see Leo Major, Orion, right? So these are some constellations which are very prominent. And through this CRL we will learn about the stars and the solar system.
The stars and the solar system. We live on the planet Earth. In our sky, we see many point-like celestial objects, most of which are stars and some of which are planets. We know that the Sun is the star nearest to Earth. Earth and the other planets revolve around the Sun. We have learned that stars produce their own light. What about planets? Planets do not produce their own light. They reflect the sunlight falling on them. The Sun is the main source of heat and light for the planets revolving around it. It has been continuously producing a huge amount of energy for more than 4.5 billion years. Can we distinguish between stars and planets in the night sky? Yes, stars twinkle while planets do not. Stars do not change their positions with respect to each other. The planets, on the other hand, change their positions with respect to the stars as they revolve around the Sun. What makes these planets revolve around the Sun? It is the gravitational attraction between the Sun and these celestial objects that keeps them revolving around the Sun. Can the planets collide with each other while revolving around the Sun? No. The planets do not cross each other's path as they revolve in their own fixed or definite paths at different distances from the Sun. The definite path in which a planet revolves around the Sun is called its orbit. The farther the planet is from the Sun, the larger is its orbit, and the greater is the time taken to complete one revolution around the Sun. The time taken by a planet to complete one one revolution around the sun is called its period of revolution. Besides revolving around the sun, the planets also rotate about their own axis like tops. The time taken by a planet to complete one rotation is called its period of rotation. Just like the planets revolve around the sun, there are other smaller celestial bodies that revolve around the planets. For example, the moon revolves around Earth. Any celestial body that revolves around another celestial body is called a satellite. Apart from the planets and their satellites, celestial bodies like asteroids, comets, meteors, and meteoroids also revolve around the sun. The sun and these celestial bodies together form the solar system. There are 8 planets that revolve around the sun. Mercury is the closest, followed by Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. We can remember the planets in the order of their closeness to Sun using this mnemonic. My very enthusiastic mother just served us noodles, which includes words that start with the initials of the planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. It is interesting to note that the Sun is the star of our solar system, but many other stars in the universe have their own systems of planets revolving around them. Our solar system is just one of many such systems that exist in the universe.
Friends, we will learn about our solar system through this CRL.
Members of the solar system. Hello students, now today I have a question for you. If the Earth was the size of this lemon, how big do you think the planet Jupiter would be? Well, it would be about the size of this basketball. Interesting, isn't it? Let's learn some more interesting characteristics of the members of our solar system. Ready? Now there are 8 planets in our solar system. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The order of the position from the Sun can be easily remembered with the help of the phrase, "My very enthusiastic mother just served us noodles." These planets are classified as inner planets and outer planets. The orbits of the inner planets are much closer to the Sun, and they are much smaller in comparison to the outer planets. The inner planets are rocky and are characterized by very few moons. Mercury and Venus have no moons, while Earth has 1 moon and Mars has 2 moons. The outer planets are characterized by ring systems around them and a large number of moons. Jupiter has 79 moons, Saturn has 82, Uranus has 27, and Neptune has 40 moons. The smallest planet in the solar system, Mercury, is hardly visible from the Earth's sky because it is so close to the Sun that it is hidden in the Sun's glare. But when the glare of the Sun is not too bright, that is, just before sunrise or just after sunset, Mercury can be seen near the horizon. Known as the morning star and the evening star, the planet Venus is the brightest planet visible in the east before sunrise and in the west after sunset. When observed through a telescope, both Mercury and Venus show phases. An interesting feature of Venus is its unusual rotation from east to west. All other planets except Venus and Uranus rotate from west to east. The only planet in the solar system where life is known to exist, that is our planet Earth, is at just the right distance from the Sun such that it has the right temperature range, existence of water, and a suitable atmosphere, and a blanket of ozone. It rotates on a tilted rotational axis, which causes the change of seasons on Earth. The red planet, Mars, has a similar tilted rotational axis, so it too has seasons just like Earth. Amongst the outer planets, Jupiter is the largest in size, followed by Saturn, Uranus, and lastly Neptune. Now, Jupiter is characterized by a great red spot and is the most rapidly rotating planet in the solar system. Saturn has beautiful bright rings. A special feature of Saturn is its low density. Its density is even less than that of liquid water on Earth. So, hypothetically, if there was a water body large enough, Saturn would literally float in it. Uranus is characterized by its unusual rotation from east to west along a highly tilted rotation axis. While revolving around the Sun, it appears to roll on its side. Uranus and Neptune can only be seen using a telescope. In a large gap between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, there is an asteroid belt. A large number of small, rocky celestial bodies called the asteroids are found orbiting the Sun in this region. The comets revolve around the Sun in large and highly elliptical orbits. Now we have seen how vast and magnificent the solar system is. Each member of the solar system has special characteristics. The unique characteristics of Earth make it possible for life and all of us to exist on it. So these were some interesting characteristics of the members of our solar system. Goodbye and happy learning.
Students, we have already learnt in detail what are the phases of the moon. To recall about the phases of the moon, just see this diagram, and through this diagram recall what we have learnt about the phases of the moon. The moon is the only natural satellite of the earth. Thank you.